Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to this episode of Soulful Conversations. Today is July 28th, 2021. I am your host, Lady J. Before we begin, I would like to thank Yahweh Elohim and Yeshua the Messiah for waking me up this morning and giving me peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. Praise Yahweh. Hallelujah. At this time, allow me to welcome my handsome guest, Chris, from Oakland, California. Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How you doing today?
Oh, another blessed day. I'm happy to be here. Up, and I'm looking forward to this.
Glad to hear that. I'm just going to jump into the question and answer segment of the show as I always do. You ready?
Yes.
My first question for you, Chris, is what childish thing do you still enjoy?
Video games.
Okay.
I'm gonna add, cause I don't know if this count, but I also like me and my brother, we used to do make fun of things we saw on TV. In my mind, in my imagination, we still do.
So when you're playing video games, you think of your brother?
When I play video games, I think of my brother, and when I see stuff that I know that we would have laughed at, I make fun of that.
Okay. We're gonna talk about that a little later. How about that?
That's fine.
That's cool. I like that though. What's something you were really stressed about? It turned out to be no big deal. What do you think?
It's hard. I guess being a consistent parent, but the thing about it, it is hard, but it's not as hard as people may think.
Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah, what I meant to say was it's hard. It's everything that you think it is hard, but the thing is that if you just stay with it and realize that you was a kid at one point, then it becomes much simpler.
That makes sense, and I understand. It's there's no script for being a parent, is there?
No, there's not. Definitely not.
And you're right about reflecting back to when you were a child, because your child is going to do what you did and probably a whole lot more, because we're in a different era now.
Definitely that.
Okay. Here's another question for you. What's the most effective way for a government to control its people?
And first of all, I love this question, and I swear we'll probably get carried away talking about this, but the sum that answer up is the best way for the government to take control or control the people is by letting the people control the government.
There's a word for that, and I believe the word is, actually, it's when the people with money control the government, and I believe the word is plutocracy. I could be wrong, but I believe the word is plutocracy, like government by the wealthy. But I can understand what you just said. Let's go to the next question. What is increasingly becoming socially acceptable?
Oh, man. I could be honest with so many levels on this. What's increasingly becoming acceptable?
Socially acceptable.
Oh my God! I'm just gonna say, social media in itself is becoming more and more accessible and acceptable.
Do you like the fact that we are dependent on social media as much as we do now? Are you on board with that?
Yes and no. I think that the more that we accept, and let's put it in another terms, the more that we accept technology, the farther we get away from a certain authenticity of any situation or real life situation. We're missing experience. There we go. That's the best way I can. We're missing experience when we start accepting more and more technology.
I agree with you totally. That's a great response because it's honest, upfront, and honest. Let me ask you this, and this one is a doozy for me. What are you holding on to that is holding you back? What are you
I
holding on to that is holding you back?
I, I haven't, me personally, I haven't dealt with a lot of different deaths in my family, in my life. I ain't gonna say in my family, in my life. And so I don't. It's hard for me to deal with it because I know it's about to be a real long thing with me. And so I haven't got over a lot of different uh, deaths in my family. I guess as a man, you always want to be there when somebody that you love and care about passes away. And so a lot of times I was locked up, so I didn't get to, you know what I'm saying, embrace that person. It's not even saying goodbye or stuff like that. It's more or less that that person that's leaving you know that you're there.
Okay.
And so for me personally, I feel like I should have been there a lot of times.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from, and you know what? We're gonna revisit this particular question. How about that?
Okay.
All right. Let me ask you this: what's the difference between justice and revenge?
Um, Sometimes I think they intertwine.
I was thinking the same thing. Go ahead.
Sometimes I think they intertwine. I think. I mean, it's hard to explain. You know? Like, I mean, it's not hard to explain. It's hard to. I don't think there's no differentiated. Like, there's no line. It was very blurry. It's very gray because if somebody kills somebody and they get caught and got took to jail, the person or family of the victim says, "I want justice." Is it really justice or is it revenge? Because some people say, I feel satisfied that that person got life, or I feel satisfied that that person is getting the death penalty. You know, is it revenge or is it justice? So, you know, you know what's strange in that question or in that real life situation is that people find either or gratifying. They find it satisfying.
True. And that's why you said they intertwine. You gave the right answer. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think those
I,
two intertwine like that?
I think a lot of I think one is real. Be honest with you, I think one is real and one is a label.
You thinking that revenge is real and justice is a label?
Yeah, and I hate to say it that way, and that might sound terrible to a lot of people, but the thing is that the justice system only works for certain people efficiently and consistently. But when you sit here and talk about no matter who you are, you know what revenge feels like, or you know what it feels like to want revenge. You can be poor, you can be rich. You know what you want when it comes to revenge. But with justice, we all don't see justice. Justice don't fit us all.
That's deep, and it's true. And that's what makes it a soulful conversation. I thank you for that answer. Let me ask you this question. What three words best describes Chris?
Loyalty, respect. I know this is on fold. generic and so general, but it's so true about me. Um, mm,
Loyalty, and respect, and what's the third word that best describes Chris?
I'm just gonna give you all my best attributes, so I'm just gonna say,
Oh, you have a lot of them, huh?
hey, I've been through a lot.
I hear you, Chris. What you think?
Been through a lot.
What's that last one for our
Um,
listeners? And then maybe you don't
yeah.
have a last one. Maybe because you have so many that best describes you, loyalty and respect could be the best laid plans. How about that?
Reason I say those things is because I found, no matter if you blood, no matter if you friend, you hear these little sayings like sometimes you meet people and they better to you than your own family, and then you get family members that are actually family members, but you see them get beat down by the disloyalty that's not in a family, so they become, what I'm saying, isolated and segregated in their family, and people look at that like they've been standoffish, when really they don't see nothing, and I hate to say it this way, worthy of being that loyal and loving too. You know what I'm saying? So is I put it like this: I've been on this earth for almost 40 years, and I found out that loyalty is damn near trumps love in some cases.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna supply a word for you. Just listening to your response here. Um, the word that best describes Chris to me is authentic. So I appreciate your honesty, Chris. Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Uh, this is like a never have I. Never have I fainted. Yes or no?
I've never fainted in my life. I want to faint. I want to know what it feels like.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to know.
But this is deeper. This is much. The reason I like this question is because it's a lot deeper than what it for face value. Like never have I fainted. I always been like, and I don't want to get on no street stuff or anything like that. But I run towards danger. I want to faint. I'm tired of running towards danger. I'm tired of being a tough guy. I just want to pass out and wake up and it's all over with.
What's all over with?
Whatever the situation may be, somebody be like, oh, thank you. Oh, we're about to have a car crash, and the person, I've seen this before, usually it was with different groups, but in a situation, they're about to have a car crash. They fainted before they had a car crash.
Okay.
Or somebody getting robbed, and then they pull out a gun, and they faint. I never had that. I always I bear through the whole thing. If I ever get robbed, I'm fighting. You know what I'm saying? If I'm about to have a car crash, I'm trying to swerve out the way. I don't never get the opportunity. To me, it's an exit. You know what I'm saying? Or it's a type of veil or something like that. Like something tragic happens, and I faint. You don't actually go all the way through the experience. I don't get to have that. I always bear through the whole thing.
Okay. May I respond to that?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay, so it just seems to me that there's a period where something's jumping off, and rather than you do what I'm about to say, you go all in. And
Yes.
okay, so there is a word. The word is wait, and the acronyms for wait is what am I thinking? What am I telling myself? Wait, W-A-I-T. What am I thinking? What am I telling myself? If you, in any situation where you feel like jumping into hot water, why don't you take a moment, just a moment, to wait and ask yourself, what am I thinking? What am I telling myself? Because 9 times out of 10, Chris, when I'm going to put it on myself, when I get angry, and that is often, I've learned over the years, in this 63-year-old body, the first thing hits my mind is I don't want to go to jail. Seriously, I've been in jail, so I know I don't like it. So the first thing I do is I think, depending on the situation, and when you're in, for example, when you're on the road and you're driving as much as I do, you're bound to start cussing at people that cut you off. And I remember being on the streets in Oakland back in the day with Jermon, and me coming from the area where I live, the Patterson, California, people just weren't rowdy, not as rowdy as they were perhaps in San Francisco or Oakland. So whenever I came to the Bay Area to visit Jermon, things would happen out there, whether I'm in the car or on the street, and I would go off. And Jermon would always check me and tell me, look, Mom, you can't be going off on people out here like that. So during those days, Chris, I was much like you. I didn't wait. But as I got older, I did. So I hope that gives you some type of idea that in the future, rather than do what your instincts want you to do the opposite. Because all that is basically is Lucifer. Lucifer, you know? You know where I'm coming from?
I know exactly where you're coming from. These things happen to me every day at work, even at home, on the street. And like me and my lifestyle and the way I grew up, I've always been a fighter, if that makes any sense. You know, so I've always been a fighter. I think I'm talking to you because you know me, but I always been a fighter. So it's like I don't tolerate stuff. Like if I'm in a see, I understand what my brother was saying when he told you, Mom, you can't do that type of stuff, because the first thing coming to his mind is that whatever happens in the car with my mother, it got to go through me.
Okay.
And so the first thing he was thinking, for me knowing my brother, it was that I'm going to do whatever it takes. But this is as a man, period. I'm going to do whatever it takes, but I'm going to go all in. So I'm willing to die over my mother. So please don't cut nobody off, because I'm going to end up dying trying to protect my mother's life.
I see. So you guys are going to put yourself on the front line, and that's what men do. That's what men do. Yeah. And I can respect that. I can respect that.
Me and my eyes, honestly, I think that's what real men do. You're right. I think that's what men do.
They do. It's your nature. Men are wired differently than women. Men are, to me, they are visual. Women are verbal, and that alone is a if you stop and look at it, that alone puts us on different islands from time to time. Would you agree?
I definitely agree. I think there's nothing more perfect than the ideology you just get, because I look at it as a negative and a positive. And it's amazing how negative batteries and positive batteries, how they make something work. They make some type of thing that needs batteries work. And the thing is that a male and a female could be looked at as negative and positive, and sometimes they clash. But together they make another machine or electronic or whatever happen. They make it work. And I just look at it, you know, it's so perfect how we was designed and made from our Creator, that we go so perfect like that.
That negative and positive was a great analogy. I like that, and you're absolutely right, Chris. You're absolutely right. Let me ask you this: would you be the leader of a country if asked?
Definitely.
Okay, that's a good one. Here are my this or that questions. Netflix or YouTube?
Oh, wow.
Why are you laughing?
Because Because I watch both. Okay, first of all, I watch both. And Netflix, everybody is on Netflix, and Netflix is cool, and I'm all right with that. I can watch Netflix, but I like, for some reason, I like YouTube more, because YouTube is I don't know if it's a representation of my mind span. Like, I can watch something for 8 minutes and I'm on to the next thing. I can watch something for 30 minutes and then on to the next thing.
Do you spend a lot of time on YouTube?
I watch a lot of YouTube, but not like, put it like this: the time that I used to use at nighttime, getting off of work, and I come in the house and I settle down and get washed up and everything, and I get in the bed. Before I go to bed, I'll watch at least 30 minutes to an hour of YouTube.
Okay, so it is the one that you prefer.
Right.
Okay, I understand that. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, I think it's because it's more viral. I mean, it's more options.
A lot. I mean, you can watch some real bull crap on YouTube. And
Yeah.
You can, and then you can view a lot of informative programming on YouTube also.
Yeah. I watch a lot of history on YouTube. My thing is that Netflix is cool. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not expanded as big as I want it to be, but it's like it seems like it's trying to course you into a certain way of thinking.
I agree, but I'm gonna tell you my reason for preferring YouTube over Netflix. YouTube is free.
That sums it all up right there.
Hey, I'm just being authentic, all right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Cardio or weights?
Okay, when I was younger, I lifted a lot of weight. I mean, I went to CYA. I've been a juvenile hall, CYA, in the prison. That's nothing to brag about. That's nothing to glorify at all. But with that comes a lot of exercising. And so when I was younger, weights, you want to rush to get big. But as you get older, you want to do a lot of choreo to keep, to stay trimmed up and stay all healthy so you can probably live longer. So, I mean, which one I prefer over the other, I find it consistent with cardio over weights. Weight actually getting real big and then not maintaining that could build a lot of weight on your body. But if you consistently do cardio, you will always be fit.
I see. That's a good one. That's a good one. Let me ask you this. Here's a this or that. Ice cream cone or snow cone?
Ice cream cone.
What's your favorite flavor?
Man, I can't say. I really can't say.
Well, I'm gonna give you my favorite flavor, and though I do not eat a lot of ice cream, and I would love to, but I know that ice cream can make you gain weight, and I'm trying to maintain. But my favorite flavor is maple nut. Now, they don't have maple nut in the stores like they used to when I was growing up. And my mom loved maple nut, and that really got me to like it also. So my favorite flavor, not only coming up, but today, if I had a choice between vanilla bean and maple nut, it would be maple nut. So I like ice cream flavor maple nut. What about this one? And this question is a doozy, Chris. So I want your most honest response. Question is honesty or others' feelings?
This is a great question, and as a man, I always try to when I try to sprinkle what I know from my experiences down to my kids. I truly believe honesty over sparing somebody's feelings. And I got several reasons for this. But even with, like, I got a 2-year-old daughter, I'll be 100% honest with her. I don't want her. First of all, and I'm not trying to sound funny or biased towards any gender, but it's hard for a woman. It's hard for a woman in this world, and a lot of times that they follow the sugar-coated impression of a good man, and then when they finally get what they think they want is not what they thought it was going to be, because everybody sugarcoat that. I like honesty. I like brute honesty, to be honest, and I prefer it over anything, because with honesty comes experience. I think they go hand to hand. And when you give somebody your honesty, and it's like giving somebody your true experience of how you feel about something, and that's where I think is good for somebody's feelings. I don't know how to put that in terms. When you be honest, it's good for somebody's feelings. It's like taking the medication that you need.
That's what they say about the truth, isn't it?
Yes. I think the truth and honesty are strongly related to each other.
Yes, they are. And because I heard you say you have two daughters, is that what I heard you say?
Yes, I have 2 daughters.
Do you feel comfortable with telling the listening audience the age of your second daughter?
My second daughter just made 2. Well, not just made 2. She made 2 March 10th.
Oh, okay. So maybe I got this wrong. What about your first daughter then?
Oh, my first daughter just made 13. The 11th of this month.
How is your rapport with your 13-year-old? I heard you mention about the honesty and the other's feelings. You have a teenager in 2021. Being a teenager in 2021 is so much of a difference than back in 70, 60, 68, 69, 1970 for me. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Let me tell you how great experience and honesty is. You just told me that I have a teenager, and it slapped me right in my face and reminded me that my daughter is not 13, she's 12. I was like, oh shit, I got a teenager. I got a teenager. Hold on. I can't. I was like, oh, she's 12.
But that's cool though, because she's on the cuff.
Yeah.
Biblically, so when a child turns that age, 12, their sins are on them, on themselves. Even though they're still a child, and anything they do probably up until the age of 18 is going to be on the parent. But spiritually, by the age of 12, a child knows right from wrong, and their sins are on them. So even though your baby is 12 years old, she's more closer to a teenager, I'm sure, especially in 2021. She's closer to being a teenager than not. Would you say that she is open-minded, outgoing young lady?
Several things occurred to me watching my child, as much as I have, grow up, and they're female, and I have to point this out, is that females mature way faster than dudes do, or than boys do. It's just I know what it is, but the conversations I can hold with my daughter, I don't feel like I can hold with another boy her age. If I had a boy her age.
Wow.
Yeah, because boys are just like you said earlier. Boys are more of a visual, physical, tangible. Teach me how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Show me how to do it. Type of thing. Women outthink. Be honest, women outthink men.
It's our nature. It's our nature. I hear you. Do you have a good rapport with your daughter?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But
That's
that's not due between me and her. That's actually due between me and her parent.
I
But I
guess.
love my daughter. I'm always gonna be there for her. I just sometimes I think a lot of men think like this, and a lot of women misinterpret it, or even if they see it for what it is, they don't like it because they like it right then and there. But sometimes men, as parents to daughters, and the parents are not together, they look at it and they be like, when she gets old enough, I'm going to explain to her everything.
I got you.
And that's how males think. Like, I know what I feel and I know what I want to say to you, but I know at this point that you would not completely or really grasp what I'm trying to tell you. I have to wait until you get old enough to tell you. And for the parent, I don't know exactly what's going through the other parent mind, but they want you in front of them right then and there, which I understand. But at the same time, I look at it as like you can't force the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Who wants you right before them right then? The child?
The parent of the child. Because me personally, if it was up to me, I just have my kids.
Okay.
But then it gets sticky, it gets sweaty, it gets crazy and really petty when you're dealing with somebody else that don't see things the way you see things.
And that's the parent.
And that's the parent. I really hate it because it's two parents, and who's suffering the most is really the child.
Because you two can't come to a compromise or an agreement on certain things.
Right. And this is the thing that I experienced. I can't speak for everybody, but I know it's true from my understanding that a lot of times when mothers are separated, and I'm speaking on women, and I know I'll probably get backlash for this, but a lot of times when mothers are not with the father of the child, they tend to the child only image, even though it shouldn't be this way, the child only image of the other parent, which is the father, comes from the mother. Ain't no telling how she gonna portray an image of that man because she's dealing with what she went through with him, and she gonna portray him the way she want to portray him. You know what I'm saying? So not in all cases it's like that, but basically your child first image of the other parent, if they're not in the house, and I ain't talking about not being there, I'm just talking about physically not in the house,
Mm-hmm.
they get the image of what the other parent is like from the parent that they're living with.
But isn't there a solution to that? A quick fix? And I heard you say, go ahead.
If you really, to be honest, to be 100% completely honest, and this is, I'm not trying to step in the religious realm of this situations, but the real answer is not the F and break up, not the F and separate.
True. That's the first.
That's the real solution to all of it.
That's the key, babe. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Go ahead.
My thing is, no matter how rough it gets, no matter what, stick with it. If y'all stick with it, it hurt. I've been seen and done a lot of things, and I can tell you, togetherness is better than separation.
I was in it to win it for 23 years, so I understand where you coming from. And I agree. The key is to stick with it. And there's going to be highs and lows in every situation. I mean, there's highs and lows going to work. So you know that there's going to be highs and lows for two people cohabitating in the same space over a period of time. But the other word, a key word, is compromise. We must learn.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, that was deep. I like that one. Here's something for you. Would you choose to become more intelligent if it meant you were generally unhappy?
Um, that's very, very deep for me, and that resonate with me real deep. I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything, but I'm very, very intelligent. And I'm not trying to boast or put that on myself. It's not that I'm super intelligent. I'm very aware of a lot of different things.
Go ahead. Talk to me.
And sometimes, and I swear, it's going through the Oakland streets, going through the prison system. The more intelligent you are, the more people is they can't relate to you. They can't. It gets very, very. And you know who I am, and this is me trying to be proper in an interview, and I'm being honest, 100% honest, but I'm just trying to be proper as well. And the thing is that the more intelligent that you are, the more you isolate yourself.
Why do you think that is, Chris?
It's something, I don't know the name of it, that's why I said it's something. It's something that's that didn't trickle down from, and this has nothing to do with you, but it's something that didn't trickle down from your generation and wasn't given to our generation. And I say all that to say that
you're missing something.
This generation is missing a lot of shit.
and can you give me one thing at the top of your mind that you feel that this generation, and when you say this generation, you mean your generation, the children of, so you guys are what they call millennials. I just say that you all that are born in the 80s, because right. that's when your mind came around. So what? Right. Because personally, I heard everything you said, but personally, I know that I gave Jermon my best. I schooled my son up at a very young age from the streets of Oakland. I mean, I remember taking Jermon out there to what did they call? Was it a Brookfield Village area?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, taking him out over there in Brookfield Village area and pulling an OG from off the street to talk to Jermon about what it is to be out there on the streets. And Jermon still didn't listen. So you young men, personally, you young men have to learn it for yourself. And I know that for a fact, because when Jermon got in his late 20s, he came to me and told me, Mama, you know what? Everything that you told me was true, but I had to find out for myself. So I heard you say that we, the baby boomers, which I'm just using these labels because everybody uses them, and I'm just going to put that out there. But people that were born in the 50s, like myself, the late 50s, we are connected in a different way than you guys are. So I brought my foundation into my household when I raised my son. So I know for a fact that I gave Jermon my best. And wow. And if you guys are missing anything, it's this is what I really think you guys are missing: the spiritual foundation. I could be wrong, but to me, that's what's missing. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't even want to stop you. I just, so many thoughts come to my mind, because when you speak, you inspire a lot of thought. I want to ask you a question, if it's all right.
Hey, we got time to do whatever you want to do.
This is something I don't know too much about at all, actually, and that's your father. Was your father in your life?
Yes, he was there up until the age of 13, off and on.
Okay. So that put it like this. I ain't gonna say it was enough, because I don't know what's enough for you. Your father was there. You seen your father. Okay. I'm saying all this to answer your question. I know your mother, so I know your mother was there. I know your mother. So the thing is, and whatever they installed in you makes you a very, very strong woman. So strong that I live with you. I know you. You're a strong woman. I'm not saying that just to say that. All of what they gave you, you put into Jamon, and that's the best you can do. I feel anyway. I mean, you know yourself better than I do, but from what I know, he had a great childhood. But I say all that to say this.
Okay.
To say that me and Jamon didn't have that. And I know what a lot of people think, and I can only think what I think that you're going to say is that it was a father figure there, but it's nothing like getting it from your biological father. I don't care what anybody says. That's just me personally. When you get those teachings from somebody, it's not a father figure, because it counts, and you got to be grateful for all them men that's there in other people's lives. Just being the father, that's a great thing. But when it's coming from your father, it's a little different, just a little different. It's a scale tipper.
Okay, may I interrupt you for a couple seconds?
Yes.
You said that there was something missing, and you just couldn't put your mind to it. Are you saying now that what's missing is the other parent, the mother of a missing, the mother that was out of the household, or the dad that was out of the household in your life?
In my life, yeah, but I'm not. Okay, this is the thing, is that me and you talked about several different things. It's a system set up, and we know this. This is the same old song, but it's very, very true. It's a system set up for single parent mothers to raise children, and we're gonna lock all these men up. And that weapon was designed for us as a people. It was designed to tear us down. And the thing is that we're really starting to see the ramifications of what that weapon can do. The kids are completely fucking out of their mind nowadays. And then the reason that is because they don't have that thing that we talked about at first. Two parents in a house from the beginning to end, through all the fails, all the ups, all the downs. Getting up seeing your father go to work every day does a hell of a lot for you. Getting up seeing your mother go to work every day does a hell. The reason I speak on that, for one instance, I see my mother go to work every day. But as much as she's been through, look, I get up to work, and I like to be at work 20 to 30 minutes before work starts. It's just installed in me that way.
Okay.
And this little stuff like that, it builds up and it creates a character. And the best person, the only person that can truly give it to you in raw form is the people that you are raised with in your house.
Okay.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel anyway. You know, there's a lot of people that feel a lot of different ways. But I just feel like you need that example. And for all those men and all those women that's there in somebody else's child life, giving that example, that's a great and wonderful thing. And I'm taking nothing away from it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to be honest. It's just me being honest. There's nothing like getting it from your mom and your dad.
And getting that rearing from both those parents makes you happier, correct?
It makes you happier. It makes you happier. But the thing is that the thing that we was talking about at first, experience, you can only get experience from experience. But if you're going to get it, the next best thing is getting it from somebody who has experienced it, and then they tell you what their experience is. There's nothing like getting it from your mother and your father.
Okay, so we're going to revisit something. And everything that we've talked about based on the original question, I understand it, but I want your answer. Would you choose to become more intelligent if it meant you were generally unhappier? So in all of the conversation that we've had about parents and being together with your mom and dad, you've learned a lot. You learned a lot while you were in their presence, I'm sure. Did it make you more intelligent being in that environment or not?
It made me. Okay, so when you say more intelligent, or would you rather be more intelligent? I look at it like the more intelligent you are, the more problems that you are aware of. And I don't have a problem with being. See, I don't know if this is the male ego in me. I accept. I put it like this, and I don't know if this is even gonna make sense now. I accept all challenges, even though I shouldn't, because all challenges is not for me. All challenges is not. You know what I'm saying? I have a wife and kids to take care of, but it's the ego and the man in me. And I'm not trying to say man and ego is the same thing, but they in the same boat. And the thing about it is that I accept that challenge. My thing is this. This is not that whether I want to be more intelligent about what's going on in the world or about any situation, is that can I do something about what I know? And that's the big hang up. That's a big hang up. I'm fully aware, or I'm intelligent enough to know what's going on in all government, or I'm intelligent to know what's going on in all the world, or just intelligent to know what's going on every day in my house. Are you willing to do what's necessary to? Because when you're intelligent, all it is that it means that you're more aware of problems and situations in the world. And if you don't have the means to correct that, if you don't have the ground or the platform to stand on to point that out, and then it's like, why do I want to be this intelligent and not have the capability of fixing what I know? Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does, because how can I share my thoughts? I would choose to be more intelligent. And the only reason that I would be unhappy in being more intelligent is because my intelligence isn't spreading throughout the world like I want it to. Nobody's like you said, the smarter you get, the more distance people become from you. And so
Definitely.
I understand what you just said, and I'm in the position myself, because people look at intelligent people as being strange or visionaries, and most of them are ahead of their time. By the time everybody catches on to where you were coming from, you've moved on. So where they're at, you've been. And
exactly.
And go ahead.
Can I give you a prime example of this? And this is from my life.
Mm-hmm.
When I was locked up in prison, I've been locked up twice in prison. This last time I did 9 years. And I didn't have to do 9 years. Just to be honest with you, I didn't have to do 9 years. I could have did like 8 years and like 4 months, or 7 years and 8 months, something like that. I didn't have to do the full 9 years. I got it's a thing called maxed out. I got maxed out. That's from me due to me fighting and doing all these other activities to get write-ups to catch extra time. Half the time, I got caught up. I'm a man, so at the end of the day, I say it's my responsibility. But half the time I got caught up is because other people fumbled. And that's because I expected the people to be as intelligent as I was. Now, I say all that. I say all that because I rose my expectations too high. Because I'm thinking people are like me. Just because you were in the same place doesn't mean people are like you. And so with intelligence, I don't know what it is, because this is the most thing you're supposed to be aware of. Mm-hmm. Sometimes intelligent people think that people are intelligent as them, or they think people see things the way they think they see it. that's the blind spot of being intelligent, is that you don't know what the hell people know. You don't know how they see it, and you don't know what the experience is, and this, that, and another. But I say all that to say, that when I was in there, I hit the yard. I went out to the yard every day. I worked out every day. I stayed in my groups every day. And anybody who ever been in that situation, if they can read between the lines, they know exactly what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, it becomes redundant. And after a while, it becomes, you start thinking, I'm putting myself in a situation, and my goal in this place is to get home. And I'm saying all that, it hits full circle, so just bear with me, is that when I was in there, I started reading more and more books. I started backing up back on the front line. I'm out here, I'm with my group, and started focusing more and more on myself. That's what prison is. Believe it or not, prison is a timeout for you to focus on yourself. If you're going to use the positive side of it,
okay.
It's for you to focus on yourself. And I sat there and I focused on myself for the real me for the first time in a long time, because I've always been in a masquerade about who I am because how people saw me and what my image and my reputation was. But being in there, focusing, reading, and getting more spiritual, or just getting more intelligent about things that I want to learn about, the more, this is when the weird part come in. You become weird. You reading what you reading? You reading the Pale White Horse, or you reading the Unseen Hand, or you reading the Illuminati? You're reading all these type of different books, and people be like, oh, them books that make you cuckoo. And a lot of times, a lot of people fabricate a lot of stuff in those conspiracy books and other type of books. Just any book, even if you're sitting down reading a math book, you know what I'm saying? It gets strange when people run up on you and you doing math problems, or it gets strange when people run up on you and you reading a book about the true history of this country. It just, people be like, oh, that's okay, I understand. It's outside the norm. But once you do that, you start to see the system different. And when you start to see the system different, you start looking at your actions different, and you start looking at groups different. It just, everything becomes different once you become more intelligent. And there's two things that's going to happen. Once you realize what's going on in the world, you're going to start trying to fix it, and you see those type of people, and then they get conked out and burnt out. Or you're going to continue learning.
That's
and when the more you learn, the more isolated you get.
You're on a different level.
Yeah.
Two things. Forgive me for cutting you off.
No, it's okay.
I was able to read a great portion of that. Behold the Pale White Horse. Jamon hooked me up.
Hello?
with. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello? My phone with me.
I was just saying that I was able to read a great portion of that book, Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper.
Yes.
And it was deep, and I understand what you're talking about conspiracy theorists, and there's a lot of truth in that. I also wanted to comment on you mentioning that you don't know what people are thinking, and you can think that everybody thinks the way you do. And I got a wake-up call back in 2012 that everybody doesn't think the way you do or the way I do. And I learned from that. And so what I've come to know over the years, Chris, is that the key for me is that communicating helps us learn to know the people in our lives. And that is one of the sole purposes, one of the purposes for me doing this podcast is to communicate with people, to get us as a people back on the same page, because we have disconnected as a people. And that's why we are in the position that we're in right now. Everybody, in my opinion, has surpassed the Negro, and it's not supposed to be like that. We are queens and kings and have always been, and we've lost our way. And the first thing that we must do to regain our state of consciousness is to correct ourselves.
I think is already to speak.
Yeah, go.
I think you're 100% absolutely correct. I also think too at the same time is that all like even social media, even you got to look at the whole thing as a distraction. It's to get you away from digging in the past and realizing who we are as a people. That's what it is. And you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, in Africa we was kings and queens, or we ruled." I think it's so much deeper than that.
It is.
I think that's the surface of it. We can really speak on some stuff like that, but I think that's for another time.
Okay.
But this to let you know and let all the people who do listen know that all this stuff is a distraction. It's to get you away from yourself. It's to get you. It's for you to fall in line with a machine, with a system that's being controlled by people in positions that we didn't even know exist.
They want you and everyone else that looks like you and I to take a bite, or in other words, to take a slice of the devil's pie. I'm gonna ask you a surprise question. We have about 5 minutes, Chris. I'm gonna ask you a surprise question. If is that all right?
Yep, you can ask me.
Is there anything in your personal life that has not found closure?
Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes. Can you sum it up in about 5 minutes?
I'll try.
Okay, we can always come back another day and do another whole episode on it. But briefly, what is it?
I don't have closure on a lot of things, but what hits the surface of those things is one of them is my brother.
How's that?
I don't have closure. I was locked up when he was killed. Matter of fact, right when he got killed, I just received a letter from him. I received a letter from him, and then I wrote him. He didn't respond. I wrote him. He didn't respond. And then I get a letter from, I think, the mother of my niece. Yeah, I get a letter, and I'm so intuitive to, what's crazy? I'm so intuitive to prison life and street life and this human functions period, is that as soon as I got that letter, as soon as I got it, as soon as they stuck that letter through the bars of my gate of my jail cell, I knew it was bad.
Wow.
I just knew. I knew it was bad. I grabbed it. I held it, and it didn't have his name on it. It had her name on it. And instantly, I was like, there's no reason for her to be writing me. So I already knew it was bad. Before I read the letter, I looked inside, and I saw teardrops on the letter. She was crying when she wrote it. And after I saw them teardrops, I just started crying. I already knew what was going on. And so I didn't filter in at that moment. I just learned that I lost my grandfather. And then I also learned that I lost my father, me and Jamon's father.
Okay.
And so that was being hid from me for somebody else's personal reasons. I don't see how that benefited anybody, but my father being dead was being hid from me. So my brother, and on top of that, it was just too much. And at that time, not to make anything extra, I was in a hole. I don't know if anybody know what that means in prison when you're in a hole. It's called ASIC. I was in a hole because I had caught a dope case in prison.
Wow.
And so when I was in the hole, you got to go to the board and you got to go through this thing. Then they figure out where they want to send you. They add your points to see if they're going to send you back to a 4-yard or a 3-yard, or they're just going to transfer you institutions. You know what I'm saying? Just to get you out of the environment because they feel like you're too much of a threat because of the prison you in. You're too well connected. And so they'll just transfer you or send you way somewhere else. But besides all that, I learned all this information while I was in a hole by myself with nobody to talk to, nobody who cared about me or loved me. And so that's one of the things I never ever got true closure to. I know. This is where what we was talking about earlier, where what's the difference between justice and revenge?
Yes.
My closure would have been revenge. That would have been closure for me. And I justify it in my mind. I don't care what anybody feel or what they say. I justify it in my mind, the revenge part, because revenge to me is justice. In some cases. In most cases. That's what people go to court for. Justice. That's what people go to court for. They say it's justice, but really is to be. Sometimes being treated fair is revenge. Because on an equal platform, a lot of times people be better than the next person.
You've opened my eyes wider than it was when we first started, Chris. And I'd like to thank you for that, because what you just said is so very true and deep because of the reality of it. And I hope that someday that we will find the people that took Jermon's life, and whatever happens to them or has happened to them is a part of Yahweh Elohim's divine purpose and plan. But in saying all of that, I do want justice. And if justice does mean revenge, then let the chips fall where they may. I'm with you on that. All right?
Yeah.
I'm going to end this show right now, and I thank you for stopping by. And I look forward to seeing you and also having you on the show again. Is that all right?
Definitely come back. I'm definitely want to be here to support. And this is just us scratching the surface. It's a whole bunch of things that we can really get into that we probably should address, and we are. It's the beginning, and there's a beginning to everything.
That is true. There's a time and a purpose for everything under the sun.
Definitely.
You take care, all right?
Yes, I will.
I'll be chatting with you.
Okay.
Well, my beautiful people, thank you for hanging with me today. And please join us next week for another episode of Soulful Conversations. This is Lady J. Stay strong and stay tuned. Ciao.